Well, let's go ahead and I'm going to give you kind of a rundown of some fringes. Like I said, I just got done teaching like a 3-hour class on doing these fringes, and really it was a struggle to get it all in there. So I'm seeing a lot of side swept, wolf cut. Oh, wolf cut is a shag. Okay, so if a wolf cut is a shag, then it would be a layered fringe that connects to the rest of the shape. So one of the, thank you, I love my new color too. Zoe Boyson at Department Z here in town in Spokane, Washington did it for me. Fringes can either be connected to your entire shape or they can be disconnected. So that's something that you have to kind of decide as you're starting your fringe. Is it going to be a standalone haircut, or is it going to actually connect to the rest of your shape? So we've got a lot of textured curtain fringe and a lot of side swept and a lot of wolf. I don't know what I'm going to pick. So hello, Germany. Glad you could be here. Okay, I'm going to, how do I turn this around now? Oh goodness, there it is. Okay, so I'm going to turn this around and let's go ahead and take a look at some of the different fringes that I did today. Okay, so this is a side swept curtain fringe, and you'll notice that all of these mannequins are bald because I just wanted it to be only fringe. So this one sweeps off to the side. It's a really heavy curtain or heavy side swept fringe. So that's number one. Then we have our curtain fringe, and this curtain fringe is a pretty heavy curtain fringe. So this one lives pretty much in natural fall, and then it works off to the sides. There's a little bit of disconnection in there. Okay, so then we come down here. We have a very heavy, just a really heavy line that could either connect or disconnect. You could see this if it were, kind of a bowl cut almost, would be really pretty. Wolf fringe. Oh my God, I don't know what a wolf fringe actually is. Okay, V-bangs. Okay, so we've got textured. Okay, sorry about that, you guys. Okay, this one is more of a choppy, and I don't know if this would be what you consider a wolf bang, because this would be more of like a shag. So this would like work into a shaggy type of style. And then there is like a micro fringe, and this can be either one length, it can be layered, it can be like diagonal, it can be however you want. And then I did this was my little choppy bangs that I did today on a little bob. So one thing that's really cool about this guy right here is this bevel that you see. And that was created by working off of the front of the head as opposed to pulling the hair straight down. It was pulled out in front, which creates a really pretty bevel to it. So I've got quite a few of you saying curtain, quite a few saying wolf. Turn that back around, get it positioned again. So maybe if I could do curtain first, and then I could do wolf, maybe, figure out what it is. I'll do side swept, and then I'll do curtain, and then I'll attempt wolf, whatever that means. I'll just see if I can figure it out. Okay? So we are going to start. The very first thing we want to do when we're trying to create any type of fringe is you have to decide where it's going to live on the head. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the maximum amount of fringe that can actually live inside of that area. And that's really important because I don't know about you, but I have actually cut into the side of my shape before, and that is no fun. It doesn't look good, and it certainly doesn't feel good as an artist to do something like that. So I'm going to go ahead and find the high point of the head first. To do that, I'm taking a central vertical parting from the forehead to the occipital bone for the crown. And I use this a lot because it's really useful to find out where the hair is actually flowing from off of the head form. So I'll lay a comb directly on the head with the head upright, and then wherever the comb balances, that is the high point of the head. So that's the furthest point that you could ever take. I'm looking for my beach ball. Don't see it. I've got a small little beach ball that's a great example of this. But the hair is going to fall evenly around the head form off of this high point of the head. So when you're finding natural fall, it's going to come off of this area. It's not going to be just straight down. So from here, I'll just subdivide the hair at the ear. And the reason for that is it just gives me a little bit more control as I'm starting to work. Okay, so we know how far back the fringe can go, but how wide can it actually go? Many times times we look at the fringe and we go right to the eyebrow, which is generally a pretty good spot to stop. But sometimes it might be slightly wider, sometimes it might be slightly narrower, just depending on the skull shape at that point. So a great way to find my comb, I don't know where it is. Anyway, a great way to find how far out you can go is what we call corner front. And a little bit of this is from, I'm an educator for KMS, and this is one of our cutting programs. It's called the IQ Cutting Method. And finding corner front is something we teach in that class. So what you do is you lay a comb on the side of the head and then one on the front of the head. And where that corner is, that is the maximum amount that you can put inside that fringe area. So I'm going to go ahead and come out to that, and it usually will be right about at that corner of the eyebrow. So coming in there, and I'm just going to isolate the rest of this and get it out of the way. So if the fringe is going to connect to the rest of the haircut, you have to keep that in mind. So this type of a fringe here would be really easy to connect into long hair because you've got it working from short into long. However, this little guy right here, that's a standalone haircut, isn't it? It's not something that you're going to go in and try and blend into another cut. It's one length and it's a very sharp, blunt line. So it's not going to blend into a haircut. It's going to be more of a standalone technique that you're doing. So I've got my fringe on that side. We'll get it over here too. Now, if you're thinking about facial structures, if someone has a really wide facial structure, I might go in and actually narrow this shape out a little bit and not take the maximum. You might not want to open up that much space on the face. So if it's like a square face or a round face, you might bring it in just a little bit so that there's a little more shadowing in on the sides. Okay, so now I'm going to have to double check and make sure I'm even. Okay, so there's my section. That's pretty much the maximum amount I'm going to want inside of my fringe area. So we're going to start with our curtain fringe. And some of you may have seen me do this on Instagram. This is one of my favorite ways to actually cut a curtain fringe. And I'll demo that, or I can probably... Did you want to see side swept first? Yes. Okay, got lots of hearts, so yes. Okay, I'll just do a quick little rundown. So on the side swept fringe, what I want to do is I want to decide if all of it is going to be swept to the side or if some of it is going to sit on the part side. So if we had a part, would we want it to sit like that? So show me with your hearts, do you want all of it to go one way, like a real wide side swept fringe, or do you want some on each side? Okay, so this is hearts for one on each side. I can watch the hearts, but I can't really read. Okay, perfect. Lots of hearts. What about this way? All of it in one. Okay, the other way wins. The other way definitely wins. Okay, perfect. That's a good way to vote. I love it, you guys. That's so great. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come off of this high point out to about the middle of the eyebrow. And that will give us some hair that sits on one side and hair that sits on the other side. So just bringing that down. Actually, I'll go on this side. It'll be easier. There we go. Okay. So this is going to sit on the right-hand side of my part over here, and then the rest of the hair is going to sweep to the other side. So I'll isolate this, get it out of my way. I always like to keep my work very clean and manageable, because it just makes so much more sense when you're working in different areas. So as we're working, I'm going to be utilizing a diagonal parting off of that part. Now the diagonal parting makes a big difference because when you're working with the diagonal, it sends the hair a certain direction. So if you think of the comb, say the spine of the comb as being your parting, all of the little teeth of the comb would be the direction you're going to comb the hair. So if my parting, let's say this is our parting once again, is more vertical, it's going to send that hair almost off to the side. If it's horizontal, it's going to send the hair down. So the hair is going to be more in natural fall. The closer you get to natural fall, the heavier your shape will be. the closer you get to 0 degree elevation, the heavier your shape will become. So we want this to sweep a little bit off to the side. So I'm going to take a parting that will send the hair, if you look at the spine of the comb and we tip it down, it's going to send the hair over here, which means it has to swing back when we cut it. Okay, so I'm going to come off to the side and see here. There we go. That's going to send the hair off to the side. I want to keep it long enough so I can show you guys the curtain fringe. So down here, about nose level, and I'm just going to cut that parallel to my part. So my parting and my line that I'm cutting are parallel to each other. I have about a 45 degree elevation. I'm not super low and I'm not super high. My next parting is parallel to that one. I'm going to comb directly on top. You can see my parting once again. Right there, I lay my comb down, and that's the way that the hair goes. So your partings are so important, and they keep, you need to keep them consistent. Okay, right there. And many of you may know we just got our scissors in. I'm so excited. Thank you to all of you that waited for months and months and months to get them. I appreciate it so much. We still are expecting more 6-inch coming in. We do have plenty of 7-inch though, which is what I'm using right now, my angel blades. But I digress, and that was an advertisement. So, okay, coming in, combing right on top of my guide, and continuing that same elevation and line that I'm cutting. Then, when it falls down, it's going to sweep off to the opposite side that we pulled it to. So for every, I would like to say, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So we pull something one way, it falls the opposite. We lift it up, and it falls down. We did 2 things on this fringe. We over-directed one direction, and we elevated. So as it falls, it's going to come back and down. So it will sweep off to the side. Okay, now to balance out. So I'll take my other side, and I need to get a better look at her here. So now it's not going to be an exact balance, it's going to be more of a visual balance. So not necessarily a technical balance, but a visual balance. And the comments have stopped coming, so, oh dear, okay. There they are. Sorry about that. Normally they scroll. You're welcome. Let me just look, okay. A lot of language I don't understand, I apologize. Oh, that was a dirty word. Okay, alrighty. So I'm going to bring this down and just a little bit over, and this is sitting, I don't want to go as short as right here. I kind of want it just to be, sitting in with the side over here. So I'm just visually working that, and then working this short to long. That way it still sweeps off to the side. There we go. So we have a little bit of a side swept fringe for you, working with diagonal partings, over directing the hair, elevating to 45 degrees, and then cutting our line parallel to the part. Ready to move on to our curtain fringe? Okay, so curtain fringe next. We already have our sectioning pattern existing, so we don't have to redo that. But if I were starting from scratch, I would go in and I would find the high point of the head, and then I would find the corner front just to make sure that I've got the right amount of hair. So this is going to work off of a center part right here, and I'm going to be taking 3 small triangles. So I'm going to be taking a triangle closest to the hairline, then another one, and then the final. They're all going to come together in the front, so it's going to come right off the front of the head. What this is going to do is it's going to cause the hair to push back and open up. The first triangle is going to be our shortest, and then we'll work into our longer triangles. I'm going to keep them disconnected, but you can connect them. So connecting is going to give you a much softer blend, and disconnecting is going to give you some little steps in it, which sometimes you want to see that those individual pieces as the hair opens up. So I'll start with my parting down the middle. Then I'm going to take a small triangle. Let's go right about there. So this triangle can vary depending on how much you want to open up that middle area. If you want it to be pretty closed, just a couple of pieces, take a smaller triangle. If you want it to open up more and be like more out to the side, take a bigger triangle. So this one's a little bit bigger for our first triangle. Then I'm coming straight off of the front. So working this right off of the front so that you could have like a teacup on top of the hair right there. And I want to make sure that I'm in the center. So when you're in the salon, face the client towards the mirror and then look in the mirror and make sure you're in the center. That way you're coming together and it's pushing evenly from side to side. Okay, leave this, let's go a little bit shorter with it. Boom, just like that. So I'm cutting a square line on a round surface, which gives me a very soft feeling. Okay, so just so you get a feel for that. That gives just that nice, soft edge to the fringe. It has a little bit of a bevel to it. This is what I did on this particular fringe. So you can see how rounded that is right on the edge. That's from pulling it off and cutting square. What it does is it keeps the edge round, which is a really nice technique. Okay, my next section is going to come back on this central vertical parting. So I'm just coming back. And this section is going to be about 1 finger's depth longer. So I'll slide past my guide. There we go. So coming in, everything is coming to that center point again, keeping it flat. And let me turn, let me see if you can see this against the white back there. Come closer, come a little closer, darling. There we go. Okay, so we have, right there is my guide, and I'm going to, okay, so there right at my fingers is my guide. Got lots of stuff in the background. There we go. So I'm going to slide past my guide, and you can see my guide right there. So I'm going to just slide 1 finger depth past, that way I can keep track of how far I've gone, right there, and cutting that off square as well. So what we have now is we have our little push in the center from the shortest triangle. Then our next triangle gets a little bit longer and is pushing out to the sides as well. Then the third and final triangle, all of the hair coming together, making sure I'm in the center, and then I'll slide 1 finger's depth past, and it's almost all of the hair. There's hardly anything to take off right there. And now this sweeps off to the sides. So we have our shortest triangle right in the middle. The second triangle is pushing and it has a little bit more length to it. You can kind of see, get over here, it'd be easier. You can see the steps, and there's like this little disconnection between here, here, and there. So what that does is it creates that additional length, and you could go back in and blend those, but I find sometimes it's hard to get the same length on both sides. This really helps with that. So just coming in and working it off that central parting and then out to the sides. So now we have to figure out what the wolf cut is. Hang on, I'm going to come down here. Oh my gosh, lots of comments. I'm going to have to cut out those mean comments, you guys. There are a couple of them. Okay. Oh, let me see. Okay, would you ever continue down? Oh, and add the rest of the hair? You certainly could. Absolutely. And one thing you can do for a shag, actually, and this might be kind of, let me see. I don't know if it'll work on the mannequin, but we'll give it a shot. Let's pretend it's the wolf cut that I don't know how to do. And I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to pull it up here. So remember I said for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. If we pick it up higher, it's going to fall down and back more. So let's go ahead and do that, and I'll add the rest to it, and let's see what we get. I think that hairdressing is one of the most fun things that we can do because it's so personal, and you can do so many different things with it. So I'm coming in, I'm going to take my same triangle, and granted I have no idea if this is the wolf cut or not, but I'm just going to play with it. So I'm going to elevate up, and you can see how much more hair I'll be taking off, okay, by coming up here. So I'm going to come up here and cut literally everything that reaches right into that, which is going to give us more of a layered fringe. Take my next section, just like we did with the curtain fringe. And this hair isn't very long, so probably just right there. I'm going to have to look up wolf cut and come back to you guys because I keep hearing it, but I have no idea what it is. Okay. So now that is maybe a little bit more layered curtain fringe if you wanted to stop there. Okay, so you can see how that has, it's a little bit lighter because we elevated higher. Whenever you raise your elevation, you're going to create a lighter shape. Whenever your elevation is lower, you'll create a heavier shape. Okay, but now let's go ahead and connect. Let's pretend this is like a haircut. I think I've got a little disconnection underneath, so it may not work exactly, but because this was a bob that was disconnected. But let's go ahead and continue that process of just taking these and pulling everything up and see what happens. Here we go. And I'm going to actually split this down the center. It'll just make it easier to work on both sides. Okay, there we go. There's my guide. I'm going to slide past. I'm glad I had this mannequin left over so we could do this. Coming in, I'm going to slide past. Once again, still keeping my my guide consistent. I'm kind of coming off the front of the head. I want it to flow down and back. Now give me some hearts if you guys are liking this. I can't see comments, and there's a lot of comments I can't read, but I can read hearts. I think I'm going to keep that a stationary guide now and not get any longer. Great, thank you. And bring everything up. And if this is the wolf, then I'm going to be so excited. I should run out of hair here. Okay, so everything coming to that stationary guide. Ooh. Okay, that's cool. Whoever had that idea, I love it. Okay. So look at that, nice and shaggy on there. So we're going to do the other side. Good, I'm glad you guys like it. Now, I've turned her around because we always want to over-direct to ourselves. Because it's just easier. You can see where your guide is and you can see everything a little bit better. And we always over-direct more consistently to ourselves. So, just taking this, I'm going to create that center part again. And I know that I just went one finger's depth past my last section. I did it 2 times, I believe. So I'll go 1, work there. Let's do another one. And I think this one went right on my section. Let's see. Nope, I did do one more. Okay, so making sure my elevation is consistent, my distribution is consistent, and then anything else that reaches. And there we go. Okay, so let's take a look at that. Fringe, now it's connected into the rest of the shape. I'm going to give her just a real quick blow dry just to see kind of how shaggy that is. Is this anything like a wolf haircut? You guys got to help me out. It is kind of wolfy. Awesome. Okay, here we go. I will be saving this live, you guys. You can go onto my IGTV. Be sure to think, oh, I like that. Hi, Brenda. She said, be sure to think about joining Sharp Scissor Society. Which brings me to another commercial. I have a program, a membership called Sharp Scissor Society. Thank you for reminding me. Where I go in and I take the back pocket techniques that I do on my Instagram. So you guys see me doing a lot of stuff on Instagram that are very, very quick little tutorials. What I do is I take those and I expand on those in, say, 10 to 15 minute sessions. So almost like what I'm doing right now, only they're pre-recorded and they're professionally done. And I go in and I just teach the techniques. So it's $9.99 a month, and you can do a year for a 20% discount. And then you get discounts on my scissors as well when you're a member. So we have a lot of fun there. Okay, I have no idea if this is wolfy or not, but I think it's kind of cool. What is that? Kind of shaggy, kind of cute. I didn't dry her completely, but okay, I really do love that. Thank you, who was it? Are you still on, the person that suggested or asked if we could blend everything up? Who was that? Because that was a great idea. Great idea. And this is actually done on it. This bob was an undercut bob, so it's kind of not, doesn't have the rest of the shape under there, but still there she is. Okay, so please put the comments off. I don't know how to do that. That it does make it harder to see, doesn't it? Okay, I'll be saving the live. I don't know if the comments will be on it or not. I don't think they are, so you can go back and watch it in the live in my Instagram on GTV.